Welcome, everyone. Today we're doing a deep dive into the holiday seasons of a genuine icon, Elvis Presley.
Yeah, we're stepping away from the stage persona for a bit, looking at Christmas and Easter through his eyes.
Exactly. And to do that, we've pulled together some really fascinating bits and pieces.
They have, yeah. There's a Pinterest board,
Yeah,
that online visual thing dedicated to Elvis Presley Easter ideas.
kind of fun. Plus articles from elvis.com.au covering his Christmas and Easter stuff.
Right, and some Reddit discussions, those online forums where people are talking about Elvis at Easter.
And we even found a YouTube transcript, Priscilla Presley talking about memories of Elvis and Lisa Marie around Easter time.
So the goal here really is to get past that king image.
Yeah, dig into his personal side, how he actually felt about and experienced these big holidays. Find some surprises, maybe.
It's interesting right away, isn't it? Getting this glimpse of the private Elvis, the dad, the family guy, during these really personal times.
It definitely sets up a contrast with the huge public figure he was.
For sure. How did, Christmas and Easter, with their different vibes and meanings, fit into both his public and private life? That seems to be a thread running through all this stuff we looked at.
Okay, let's start unpacking that. Christmas first.
Oh, good.
The descriptions of Graceland at Christmas are, wow, pretty vivid.
Oh, yeah. What stood out?
Well, blue lights all along the driveway, like a whole spectacle.
Wow.
And not just one tree outside, six.
Mm-hmm.
Six 8-foot Christmas trees all decked out with multicolored lights.
6 of them. Wow.
Yeah. And then inside, apparently a huge tree right in the dining room. It just sounds incredibly festive.
It really does. And that Elvis.com.au article adds a nice touch, mentions a tradition after dinner.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone getting around the piano, singing Christmas carols, gives you a real sense of that family warmth he seemed to cultivate.
Totally. And then there's the whole gift situation.
Ah, yes, the giving.
We hear that, yeah, sure, he got presents, but his real enjoyment that came from giving them away.
Right. We're talking big gifts, too.
Definitely. Big cash bonuses for his friends, fancy jewelry, even cars for family members.
And apparently he just loved seeing their reactions.
Yeah.
Got a real kick out of it.
It feels like more than just, showing off wealth, considering where he came from.
His humble beginnings, yeah.
It seems like giving was maybe a way to share his success, but also maybe recreate that feeling of abundance he didn't have as a kid. It's a lot about his values, I think.
That's a really insightful point.
Yeah.
And that detail about him staying up late.
With Lisa Marie's presents.
Yeah, him and a couple of buddies waiting till guests left, then putting her gifts under the tree in the wee hours of Christmas morning. That's just, it paints such a tender fatherly picture.
It really does. The article also mentions a more sentimental side during Christmas. Like, he'd often talk about his mother, Gladys, and Christmases back when he was young.
Oh.
And he apparently voiced concern for people who didn't have much, wishing he could just, provide for all the poor children, and just showed real gratitude for how far he'd come. It seems like Christmas brought up a lot of deep feelings for him.
Well, thinking about his background, growing up poor, it totally makes sense he'd feel for others struggling, right?
Yeah.
Especially at Christmas.
Yeah.
His success probably made that feeling even stronger. The joy of giving, but also the awareness of need.
And speaking of Christmas stuff, we got to talk about the song, If Every Day Was Like Christmas.
Oh, yeah. Good one. Interesting story behind that, too.
Right. It was Red West, his close friend, who wrote it.
Mm-hmm.
And Elvis asked Red to get the backing track recorded first, with Scotty Moore, DJ Fontana, Peter Drake, the singers, the whole crew.
But Elvis wasn't there for that initial session, was he?
No, apparently not. He just came in later and recorded his vocal part alone.
Which is kind of fascinating. Even though he wasn't there for the main recording, the final song ended up being, like the article says, a really successful single. And it's a powerful performance.
It really is. Suggests the song's message really hit home for him, even if the recording process was a bit different.
Became a big hit.
For sure. And it wasn't his only Christmas music venture, obviously.
Not by a long shot. That first Christmas album came out way back in '57.
And kind of amazingly, it caused a huge stir back then.
Can you believe that? A rock and roll guy doing a Christmas album was seen as scandalous.
It's wild to think about now, isn't it? So normal today. Shows how much things have changed in music and, celebrity culture.
It's almost hard to picture. Their article points out that, yeah, a lot of the press and music industry people thought it was just in bad taste.
Right. Some radio stations flat out refused to play it.
There's that story about the DJ in Portland, Oregon.
Getting fired. just for playing White Christmas.
Yeah. And a Chicago station apparently banned all of Elvis's music for a while because of it.
Incredible. But clearly it didn't stop him.
Nope. He went on to record 2 full albums of Christmas songs over his career.
So it seems like it was a genre he genuinely connected with, kind of like gospel music, which the article also mentions.
Yeah, it feels like both those genres tapped into his roots, something he really loved singing.
And we definitely need to circle back to his generosity. The article really stresses how consistent it was, especially around the holidays.
And how it came from his own experience with poverty.
Exactly. Even before he was super famous, he was known for, like, quietly helping people out, anonymously.
It kind of reminds you how people revisit traditions during holidays, right? Maybe for Elvis, giving back was like connecting with that part of himself.
Yeah, that makes sense. The article gives some great examples, too.
Like the polio vaccine support.
Yeah, while he was in the Army. And organizing that benefit concert for flood victims. He apparently said he felt incredibly rich that night, just because he could help.
And that quote, money's meant to be spread around.
Yeah. That really sums up his attitude, doesn't it?
It does. It shows he felt a real responsibility with his success, a genuine drive to use his platform, his money, for good.
Which, as the article notes, ties into that Southern faith background too, doing good deeds humbly.
Okay, so shifting gears a bit. Easter.
Right. Easter. The sources here paint a slightly different picture, or at least a less detailed one in some ways.
We got that Pinterest board you mentioned, the Elvis Presley Easter ideas.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It shows what fans link with Elvis and Easter.
I saw in there.
It's a collection, 31 images over 7 years. Lots of Elvis Presley Happy Easter graphics, sure, but also Elvis memes, Graceland pics.
Okay.
But then it gets kind of random, like fashion stuff, casual white miniskirts, stretch jeans, pearl promise rings, even animated pictures.
Huh. That is an eclectic mix.
It really shows how his image just sort of pops up everywhere in pop culture, right? The Happy Easter images suggest fans want to connect him to Easter, even if there aren't tons of stories about his own celebration.
Right. But we do get some specifics.
Yeah.
That elvis.com.au site mentions March 29th, 1970. And that date pops up on Reddit, too, on our Elvis and Rolled School Cool.
What happened then?
Photos. Pictures of Elvis hiding Easter eggs for little Lisa Marie.
Aw, that's sweet. Just being a dad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Priscilla Presley's Instagram post, which gets mentioned in a Parade article, and that YouTube transcript really fleshes that out.
Oh, what does she say?
She described how Elvis would get all excited, yelling to Lisa Marie that the Easter Bunny had come,
Cute.
and how he'd often find more eggs himself during the hunt, but he'd always share them with her. She calls him a kid at heart in those moments.
That sounds lovely.
There's even a photo from Easter '69 on Rolled School Cool, Lisa Marie and Priscilla, that Elvis actually took.
Okay, so we definitely have these nice snapshots of him doing the family Easter thing.
We do.
Yeah.
But then there's that conflicting bit you mentioned from Reddit.
Yeah, this is where it gets intriguing. In that Our Elvis thread about the 1970 egg hunt, someone comments that Priscilla apparently told Jerry Schilling once that Easter was actually Elvis's least favorite holiday.
Least favorite. Huh.
Yeah, and weirdly that the Easter decorations at Graceland sometimes stayed up until his birthday in January.
Wow, okay. That is surprising, especially after hearing about the fun egg hunts.
Right. What do you make of that? Could his feelings have changed? Or maybe he just, put on a happy face for Lisa Marie.
That's the big question, isn't it? We see him participating, seemingly having fun with his daughter, but then there's this hint of personal dislike.
Yeah.
It definitely suggests maybe there was more going on with his feelings about Easter. Something personal, maybe from his past, that we just don't have details on from these sources.
And then there was that quick mention in another Reddit chat on Arvis about the book by Lisa Marie and Riley Key.
Oh, yeah.
Just that it apparently offered a different take compared to Priscilla's stories. But, frustratingly, our sources don't say what that different take was, specifically about Easter anyway.
Right, so it leaves you wondering if there were maybe different memories or viewpoints within the family itself about those holidays.
Definitely possible. A good reminder that we're always piecing things together from different angles, and sometimes those angles don't perfectly line up.
True. And not having Lisa Marie's direct thoughts on Easter here definitely leaves a bit of a gap.
So wrapping up this deep dive, we've definitely seen some interesting sides to Elvis in these holidays.
Yeah, it seems pretty clear Christmas at Graceland was a big deal for him personally.
Totally. Marked by that huge generosity, family traditions he seemed to cherish, and just a real desire to make people happy.
You really get the sense of a guy who loved giving and who never lost that empathy for people struggling.
And connecting back to that contrast we talked about at the start.
Yeah, it really shows that even this global superstar found real joy and meaning in those simple, private family moments at Christmas. His engagement with it feels really genuine, very him.
But then Easter, the picture gets a bit fuzzier, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah, those lovely moments at egg hunts with Lisa Marie, showing he was willing to create those happy memories for her. But then you have that little nugget suggesting it might have been his least favorite holiday.
Which leaves a pretty interesting question for everyone listening to chew on, maybe. Why the difference?
Exactly. What could explain those seemingly different feelings about Christmas versus Easter? Was it just personal taste? Or something deeper, more personal about Easter that maybe bothered him?
It really underscores that even the king of rock and roll was, a complex person with his own feelings about things, even holidays.
Absolutely. A good reminder that behind the stage persona, the icon we all know, there was a real multifaceted person.
And that played out even during times of celebration. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.